have an Aussie Doodle, but you're going to have to really do a lot of preparing, and we can help you with that. We'll kind of get you dialed in. We definitely need to give you some information so you understand what you're dealing with.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get started. Go ahead, Julie.
Well, we have one more. I just wanted to hear about CJ's puppy, how old they are and what their breed is.
I have a 1.5-year-old Moyen Aussie Doodle. And I am getting a puppy at the end of June. So I thought that I would refresh. He'll be a mini though.
These are my Aussie Doodles, by the way. So that's, wait, where's the screen? Oh, that's the little one. And my other one that you'll see featured in a lot of the videos is my other Aussie Doodle. So I have an Aussie Doodle and I got a mini Aussie Doodle for my dad. So I am an Aussie Doodle expert. I work with a lot of the breeders and just trying to help them help their new pet owners, because it can be a big challenge.
Well, she's full of attitude. At 1.5, she's full of attitude.
Yeah. All right, well, let's go ahead and dive in. So you are here for the puppy training guideline. It's basically a workshop that's going to give you all the tools you need to understand what you're getting into, or what you need to implement if you already have your dog, what you need to implement to make sure that your dog is on the right path. So by the end of the workshop, you should have an understanding and an entire guideline of what to do. We are going to give you a gift. We've just finished a book that takes puppies from day one all the way to understanding what it takes to be in the city. We live out here in Sunset Beach in Southern California. So I don't have a grass or a backyard. My dog always has to go, and there's a ton of people at the beach. So that level of ability to handle all of the dogs and skateboards is like, that's our norm out here compared to other cities. This is a webinar based workshop, so we can't see you, and if you're muted we can't hear you, but you can use the chat window to ask any questions. So that's the biggest advantage of going live, is that you can ask us questions as we go. We'll help you. If you haven't picked your puppy yet, we'll actually have some questions for you to ask your breeder. Feel free to use your camera to snapshot any pictures of the screen that you'd like to kind of remember instead of writing notes. Otherwise, this is recorded, and you're going to get a link after class that has the recording of this entire class so that you can share it with everyone else in your family so that you guys are all on the same page. It's time consuming to take all this information and then turn around and have to tell everyone else in the family. It's much easier to just send them a link and go, okay, please watch this. It just makes things a lot easier to get everybody on the same page. This is a free workshop, and we will have some offers for you at the very end to just kind of tell you a little bit about what we do and how we do it. But write this down, Canine Learning Academy. We have an entire video library on our YouTube channel. We've got a Facebook page and we've got Instagram, and we're constantly just putting in as much information or content as we can to help our puppy owners and set them up on the right path. So I'm Yo Armendariz. I'm the owner and founder of Canine Learning Academy. On the left is Laura Aiken. So she is one of our head trainers, and along with Curtis Swinson, who's my oldest son. So we are a family business. The two, Laura and Curtis, handle the entire day-to-day operation of our school program. And then Julie, I'll let you introduce yourself.
I'm Julie Fryman. I have been working with Yo for the entire several months on editing and producing and arranging all of the online content that you guys are going to see. And so we are sort of the behind the scenes and online team, where we have our wonderful field crew out working with our tiniest puppies here in Long Beach, Huntington Beach area. So.
A little bit about our certification. We are Karen Pryor Academy certified training partners. if you're looking for a in-person trainer in your area, you're going to want to write that down. Karen Pryor Academy, they've got a great list of trainers in a variety of different places, including international. So take a look if you're looking for a positive reinforcement trainer, someone who just already has the skill set if you're looking to help you get your dog trained in person. So here we are in Belmont Shores. This is my dog Bentley. He is an Aussie Doodle. And what this video represents is our city, the level of training. We live where dogs are allowed to go into boutiques. Every single restaurant on 2nd Street is dog friendly. They've got patios. So when we talk about a well-mannered dog here, we're talking about a dog that is transportable everywhere and anywhere. So we call that a well-mannered dog. Then we have a dog that was like a house pet, a dog that's just knows their place in the home, knows where their bed is, knows where their water and food is, doesn't tear up the house, and knows where to go to the bathroom. That is your house pet. And then the other 2 levels of training is we do therapy dog training and service animal training, which is more public access. So we have 4 tiers of training. You want to know ahead of time, guys, you want to know what your goal is for your future, for your plan with your dog. So let me ask you a question. And so I'm going to have you participate a little bit, so it's a little bit interactive, is what are your expectations? What do you envision when you say, I'm going to get a dog? What is it going to look like in 2 years? What I'm asking is, are you the type of person that's going to be traveling with your dog? And I heard someone say that already. Or are you looking for a dog that just really does well at home? You're going to go out and you're always going to come back and your dog's just going to be happy to see you. Or do you have plans on, is there a dog here that is you're looking at putting into a service animal or therapy? So go ahead and chat and type that in and let us know where you're at. Julie, you're watching chat?
Yes.
All right. So I'll let you pull up some of those comments.
So Emily says, I'm looking for a well-mannered house pet.
Okay. And where does Emily live again?
CJ said well-mannered. Emily, where do you live? Oh, Seattle. Oh, I think this is Ty's wife, maybe?
CJ, well-mannered, and that means taking inside the house and outside the house and possibly over to a friend's house or things like that. Is that what we're saying? Okay.
Yes. Jessica, I move internationally every 2 to 3 years, so I'm looking for an adaptable dog that can go out into different urban environments and behave. Pittsburgh based for now, but Brasilia bound in December. Wow. So
Brazil,
a dog that you have some really high goals. So it's good that you're starting way before your puppy even gets there. That's a really good, that's something that's hard to get people to do. So you're on the right path.
While you continue to look over that, Julie, so let me just give you an example of why this makes a difference. A dog that has to be okay with an airport and the ability to go into different places, all the socialization things you're going to be doing in the first 3 or 4 weeks are going to be different from someone that is just going to be exposing them to the stuff that's in their neighborhood. You're going to have to get close to an airport where you can hear the airplanes go. You're going to have to pull out those suitcases early. You're going to have to go into a room when your dog's not there and rearrange everything and have your dog come back in so they are adaptable to change. But you're going to have to do that when your dog is in the developmental stage in the very beginning before they hit 12 weeks. So that's why it's important to know where you want to go, what your goal is, because it's a very small window to get your dog exposed to those types of elements early. All right, so let's move on from there. We're going to go today and we're going to discuss what shapes behavior, the different developmental stages so that you're aware of, okay, my dog is this, oh, this is what they're going through. We're going to give you a puppy schedule and routine, and we're also going to email you afterwards the template so that you can change this schedule and routine so it works with your family. You're going to get mental and physical exercise strategies. So Aussie Doodle versus a Lab versus a Portuguese water dog. Those are all going to be different strategies. We're going to show you how to socialize and expose your dog in a positive way, even if they don't have their vaccinations. We do that right here, and we're going to show you how to do that. Then you're going to get a puppy checklist. So you're going to have a PDF of this as well, and an ebook so that you can share it again with your whole family. You can print it, put it on your refrigerator, and you're going to want to mark these things off and know for sure that you've done and you've exposed your dog to these things. We're going to talk about management, how training works, and then what we can do to help you out. And then we're going to tell you how you can get your book that we have for you and a couple of the templates and how to use them. So a couple questions to ask your breeder or your rescue just to know what they've done so far is ask for a picture or video of the parents, and preferably video. And what you're going to look for in that video is you're going to look at the personalities of the dogs and the stress level. So if the dog is barking a lot, if the dog is panting, so you're going to take a look at that picture. Oh. Julie, can you mute? Let's see. Okay, so you're going to want to take a look at the picture or video that's got to do with, hold on, Julie.
I don't have that power. I'm not a host.
Can you just then say something and I can do that? Okay.
It's good.
All right, sorry. The echoing was like, woo. You're going to want to make sure that you can see the pictures of the parents or video, and what you're going to look for is not only the body language that those dogs are giving you, but you also want to take a look at the environment that those dogs are being raised. A lot of breeders just show you a couple pictures, you know, staged of your puppy. So it's important to take a look at whether the dogs are on dirt, if there's any grass, what the fencing looks like, and request a video of the entire litter so you know if your dog is the first one out the gate and running over their litter mates, or are they the passive one that's sitting back watching things, you know, at a distance and then joining in. The dog that, if you can ask your breeder, go, hey, can you go in there and just, if you can have someone record just someone walking in with all the puppies. If one of the dogs is standing out and coming out to that human right away, it means they're pretty confident, right? But it also means that's the type of dog, if they're first at everything, food, getting there, if the toy goes in there and they're the first one there, it's a great puppy for a trainer because it means that they're really, they have no problems with the surfaces and things that you're working with, but they are going to be that dog that jumps over a 4-foot X pen or climbs over this or figures out how to do this. So they're going to be a problem to most first-time pet owners because that dog is going to figure things out before the owner can catch up. So by taking a look at the entire litter, you can kind of see where your dog is. If you can request a temperament test, they usually do it at 6 or 7 weeks. And then you want to ask, hey, what have you done so far as social experiences? Some breeders are having like full-on obstacle courses for their dogs and using different surfaces and water and pillows that kind of move back and forth and swings. That means those dogs are going to be able to adapt pretty quickly. They already have sound. They're using different sounds, like sounds of the city cars and fire engines and things like that. Those are the dogs that are already going to be equipped for city living. If your breeder doesn't have that, you can simply ask, would you mind playing a little bit of YouTube or something during feeding time? If not, it's not a big deal. It's just, you know, you're going to have to speed it up. You're going to have only 4 weeks or 3 weeks instead of having them started right now. Couple other questions is just what the vaccination, where they are on that, and if your dog has any health problems, what's their policy? And what I really highly recommend is trying to find out if they have a Facebook private private page where you can join in and talk to the other people, all the other owners, and see how everything's going. Any questions on maybe what to ask? Nope.
Not so far, but y'all either unmute yourself because there's only a few of you, or you can type in the chat.
So puppy schedule routine, by setting up a schedule ahead of time, not only does it get everybody on the same page, it really gets your dog into a routine. It's a lot easier to have this ahead of time and establish it and stick to it than it is to get your puppy and then kind of figure out the whole routine. This routine is exactly the same, and then you repeat it, 3 or 4 blocks a day. If you have to be at work at 7 o'clock in the morning, then your routine is going to start at a certain hour. So you're going to have to plan ahead of time. There's 5 steps to a routine. You've got your potty routine. You've got your mental and physical exercise. You've got exposure and socialization. You've got your supervision category. And then you have your alone time. Here's what a typical schedule would look like. This is a PDF that you're going to get. It doesn't have any colors on it, but it's going to be blank as far as the time goes so that you can adjust this. And I'm going to send it to you in a Word document and a Pages document. So if you have a Mac, you can easily convert it. This is for you to set your routine and then share it with the family so that you guys are all on board. This is our gift to you to make things a lot easier. And again, you can change it because your time is going to change every single week based on your dog's age. So let's talk about each of those routines separately because we're going to show you what exactly we're talking about. So in the AM, the time column, that's where your time is going to go where you want to do that. The to-do is it a potty routine? Is it the mealtime routine? And the description has just a few words to remind you of what that routine looks like. So we're going to take each of those routines and now show you and help you have a better grasp of what that might be. So I'll go into, let's start with the potty training routine. Is anyone struggling that has a puppy right now with potty training, or is everyone not have their puppy yet, Julie?
I don't think anyone has their puppy yet. So let's
Okay.
just go over the basics. When we start with a puppy that comes home from a breeder for board and train, and we have that benefit quite a bit, we can get a 8-week-old puppy trained, completely potty trained in just a couple of weeks because we have this awesome routine and schedule. So it's totally possible to get it done right away if from day one you're being consistent and hanging on to that schedule.
In our board and train, like you'll see some, I don't know if I have the Aussies on here, but I trained 3 Aussies all at the same time. They all came from the same breeder, but they were going to 3 different families, and 2 of them did board and train, and then the other one just did an all-day program that we have. 0 accidents. No accidents, and I'm talking from day 1. So if you stick to a plan, you will have 0 accidents, and through repetition, your dog will go, oh, I know where to go to the bathroom. You can also put that, I need to go to the bathroom, on a cue, like ringing the bell, where your dog rings the bell to tell you I need to go pee. That all can be done on day 1 from the very beginning. So here's the potty training routine. Can you guys see that video, or is there anything that's stopping your view? Is it good there, Julie? I can't tell.
We're good.
Okay. So the very first thing you want to do when figuring out a potty training routine is setting up a potty training location, right? You got to figure out where you want to take your dog and where you want them to be able to go on their own. This setup right here is upstairs on my deck. It's called the Doggy Lawn. It's a plastic container, and they deliver grass to you every 1, 2, or 3 weeks. So this is an international company called Doggy Lawn. This is perfect for puppies because they're unvaccinated and maybe you can't go into the yard that you have. If you've got a backyard, you've got a certain area, make sure it is one area of your yard, not the entire backyard, because nothing's worse than stepping in poop, especially if you have a beautiful yard. You can train your dog to go to one spot, makes it a lot easier to clean. So that's step one, is figuring out where you want to go. Corners like this, or if you're going to be potty training in the house because you're been working long hours, you're going to want to put that somewhere out of the way. So a hall, a washer and dryer room, a corner, just someplace where there's not a lot of traffic. Here are some of the things that you need. So if you have a pen and paper, you can write this down. Otherwise, we can just send you a link to this particular 7-minute video so you can share with your family. You need to know where your dog is going to go. So that's your location. To bring to that location, you have to have everything ready to go. So a mason jar with treats so that you can reward your dog for the success. A toy to get your dog to not sniff or eat poop, right? To get them off that lawn as soon as possible and engage in some kind of play, even if it's for 2 seconds. Poop bags, wipes, because some dogs have diarrhea. You're going to want to wipe them right there on the spot versus waiting for them to run back in your house, or even dirty paws. Get them used to getting their paws wiped. And then an enzyme.
Doodles especially have that curly hair, so you want to get that started from day one, is wiping their bathroom area, because it's always gonna, you're always gonna have to do it just at some point or another.
Yeah, JD had like a bad diarrhea. She's my dad's dog. She's tiny. She's like 9 pounds, and she was 2.5 pounds when they got her, but she was shipped from South Dakota. Constantly, like at the beginning, had diarrhea, so we had to like literally always sink her off, and now she's just kind of used to it. So just get your dogs used to wipe, especially if you've got dogs with long hair. The enzyme cleaner is used just in case they miss their spot. It's not a big deal, but you're going to want to clean it so it doesn't keep them going. This is a balcony of one of our clients in Long Beach. If you do use a balcony, which is a perfect spot, just make sure it's close to the door and not up over the edge, because some dogs are afraid of heights. So this is the doggy lawn delivered. It comes in a bag. You can change it out, every week, 2 weeks. It's actually real grass. I actually just built a big deck upstairs. I built a 2x4. And I think it looks like a small sized kiddie pool, and I put bark in it. And that's what I used to train my dog, because I had a full cement backyard. So I just took a kiddie pool and put bark, but now I have a little wood potty station. The water bottle, or the water bowl, not the water bottle. The water bowl you're going to want to place next to the door that takes your dog to the potty area, to the potty station. That way your dog goes to get water, which is going to be pretty frequently, and then it reminds them, I got to go bathroom, because that's where I get rewarded for it. So it's putting the bowl next to the door or right beside the door, so it kind of reminds your dog, and it kind of ties it all in. Every time, this is part of the routine, is your dog comes from their confined area, whether it's a crate or X-Pen, and the first thing you do is take your dog potty. Now, when you first get your puppy at 8 weeks, you're not going to have, harness and all of that. So you're going to have to carry your puppy to the spot and place them on the area that you'd like them to go. As your dog gets older, using a leash to transport them is the next step. Playing a game afterwards gets them away, playing a little game of like fetch or just tossing a toy. So it's crate, leash to the potty, right? So to make sure that your dog is going to the spot. Here's a very easy tip that a lot of people don't do, is just to set your timer. When your puppy is 8 weeks old, maybe every 15 minutes if they're playing, up to 30 minutes if it's a little more mellow, is a good start. So as a trainer that has board and train, and I have a couple puppies here at a time, I have to set a timer for each dog. So it's 15 or 30 minutes. And then I take them out, give them the opportunity to go potty. If they go, then we go into the next part of the routine. If they don't go, they go back into that confined area. That helps to control, helps to build their bladder, ability to hold their bladder. So timer, crate, use a leash. Here's an X pen. And take them to the spot. Lastly, once your dog, when they're peeing, when they're actually peeing, you see it happening, that's where you want to capture that behavior. So you're going to say the cue, go potty, or take care of business, whatever that word is. You're going to want to say it while the pee is coming out, and then you're going to want to reward it within 2 seconds after they're done. Don't say the cue so loud that your dog freezes and then forgets to go pee. So just say, oh, go potty. Good boy. And then treat right then and there within 2 seconds. That's how you build a really good experience and help them to understand that this is where all the good things happen. If your dog
This will be important if you travel a lot, because your dog is going to have to go to the bathroom on different surfaces. And in the airport, that, you know, when a lot of people are around, they're going to be like, really, is it okay that I go right here? So if you have a cue, go potty, when we live in the city, we can get our dogs to go on the concrete if there's no grass around, or in the street where they may not be used to that if we hadn't put it on cue. So that's why we want to do that.
Yeah, so just you have one particular potty place first, and then after it's on cue, you can now generalize it to other types of surfaces. So during the socialization period where you're socializing your dog to different surfaces, you're going to be able to then transfer that potty, instead of grass, to wet grass, to dirt, to sand, or to even paper if you're in an airport. All right, so Julie, I'm gonna let you jump in for exercise, talking about human play, especially in this pandemic.
So it's especially difficult because we're all so separate, and those puppy social groups that we would have, or our friends coming over, it is so important that puppies learn how to play with each other. There's a lot of physiological reasons and social reasons, but one of the biggest is that bite inhibition. So we want to encourage our puppies to play like they would with another dog. And this is one of the ways we do that, by getting all the way down on the floor on their level and acting like a dog. And I know that sounds very silly, but teaching your puppy how to play appropriately with another, we have lots of dogs that just walk right up and greet the other dog in their face, and that's not appropriate, and that can get them bitten in the wrong circumstance. So we want to teach our dogs what a bounce from afar means, and that when we hit them on the side, that they should bring their butt back, or going forward and backwards, all of the things that they would learn from other puppies. We want to encourage that behavior in a positive and safe way. And this helps with bonding. If you are the one, you see that little play bounce there, she goes all the way down and then she bounces really big. And that's exactly what we would want to initiate play. That's a very proper greeting. From afar, she does a big bounce and then they go in and play together. So we really, really want to make sure there's no rules during that particular kind of play, because if there were other puppies there wouldn't be rules. They would go at each other and they'd hit each other and roll over and, you know, make funny noises. And we want to give them a positive outlet for that, so that it doesn't come out with them launching off the ground and trying to bite your face, because I think that's how they play.
So before you pull out toys, start with human play. So in our school program and with our puppy program, you'll see that the first few days is all about hand feeding and human play, build that trust, then incorporate toys. Okay, usually it's just one handler at a time. So not everyone in the house is jumping in on the train on the training process. Each person should have a different job. All right, moving on from exercise. we'll just talk a little bit about, let's go here. Oops. Training and mentally and just basic training. Here you see one of the Aussie Doodles is using an interactive feeder. This interactive feeder is a do-it-yourself. It's just basically a muffin tin. This is an advanced one. So you've got tennis balls, you've got Kongs, you've got some kind of Greek yogurt thing on there, but her food is inside there. We have this motto where we just say, we basically tell you to ditch the bowl and do all of your feeding in something that's mentally challenging your dog. So there's puzzles, muffin tin, which gives them exposure to stainless steel and aluminum. You can use wash rags and roll it up into a little kind of a burrito kind of thing. This just gives your dog a mental stimulation, and it helps them to problem solve. It's far easier. You're never going to be able to exercise an Aussie Doodle enough. They can go 50 something miles a day and they just never turn off. But you can mentally drain them more than you can physically. No one in here, I mean, I did Ironman. I did 11 hours of racing. I could still never make my dog tired. So it's important to understand that it's a lot easier to just provide mental stimulation 3 times a day than it is to try to take that energy, bottle that up, and try to go exercise them for that much. Oops. What else we do? Sorry. These aren't in order. I need to put them in order. Supervision.
Quick question about the puzzles. This might sound stupid. If they figured it out, are they like done with that puzzle, or will they repeat it? Is it like me being like, I already saw that movie, I'm not interested? Or are they like,
You definitely have to make it challenging enough for them to want to keep going. So we had a 5-day enrichment challenge where we had everybody use one of the same objects, and there was like over 80 people that put different ways of using the same object. So even though you're using a muffin tin, there's so many ways to use a muffin tin. You can turn it upside down. You can put a blanket over it. You can wrap it in a box. Like, you can do a lot with the same objects. You don't have to buy, and I don't recommend buying a bunch of stuff on Amazon. There's a couple that we like, and then you can reuse them. Freezing food in it is another good way. So to answer your question, yes, if you used the exact same puzzle, they would definitely get bored. Most dogs would. But you can take whatever object that is and definitely make it more challenging each time. But you could do the same puzzle. You just want to, you don't have to. You can always change it up. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Sorry, I keep on unmuting and muting myself here.
It's okay. I had a dog owner who just had a baby, and his puppy, anyways, long story short, he needed to do some enrichment for his dog, but the dog was so stressed out that he wouldn't eat doing the enrichment project. So we had to take some steps back and go back to hand feeding and put half the food in the bowl, because the bowl was a lot easier. So you will have to scale back if you put this phenomenal project and you put it on the floor and your dog's like, what do you want me to do with that? And you don't want to jump in and help, but it's just like a mental note. Okay, that was a little bit too hard. Let me scale it back. Maybe I put the food on top of one of the tennis balls and then get them going. So there's ways to encourage and motivate, just like kids. You're not going to start with algebra. You're going to go, okay, let's figure out if you understand what 5 means, So just start off a little bit slower. So a little bit about umbilical cord training. This is where a lot of pet parents just kind of fall short. Even at 8 weeks old, people are letting their dogs run the entire, room of the house, or just a whole floor. And a dog with that much space is just definitely going to have a lot of accidents. Going to the bathroom, they're going to get into things, they're going to chew the corner of your couch, they're going to, it's just not going to go well. So if your dog is not in an X pen and not in a crate, and you're not holding them, then they have to be tethered in some way to you. They have to be supervised, or they're going to get into something, and then it's going to break the relationship. If you have to keep telling your dog no, that first of all, your dog doesn't understand you. Second of all, it's just going to break your spirit. It's going to break the fun out of training. So what we do here with a lot of the board and trains and puppies that we have in our program, it's tethering. So when we're working on the computer or going to the kitchen, we teach the dog to go hang out on a blanket and ignore this barking and lunging. And when the dog is sitting or laying down, you can reinforce that with their food, their breakfast, or just petting. Like all the good things happen if they're petting. I'm not cueing this little puppy to lay down, but because I always pet her or give her food when she's laying down, she always lays down. And this is my house. I have like 5 or 6 beds in the house so that the dogs know that they're allowed on there. All the good things happen on dog beds, but you can simply have a towel and fold it in half and teach your dog to hang out there. So our little Aussie doodles that we did in board and train, my dad's 76 years old. That's his puppy. Day one, within 24 hours, she was laying down next to him while he was eating his dinner. And it was not that hard. It's just a routine. So if you want to tether and you want your dog to learn to follow you and not be so, independent, you do want to do independence as well. But leashing your dog to you while you go do dishes or while you go open the refrigerator, these are all working through distractions already. So here she is laying down while I'm doing dishes, and I'm reinforcing this behavior that I like, which is the down or the sit. So by having your dog attached to you, you're given the opportunity to actually catch that stuff. Most parents just say something when the dog is doing something wrong. But if you can really focus all of your energy into just reinforcing what the dog does well, you're going to get that wanted behavior more often. So when you're watching TV, when you're, talking on the phone, when you're working on the computer, remember to try some of this type of training for maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time, at least once a day. Here I'm just doing a demonstration. This is actually tethering her to a bed. So I have small little leashes in the rooms that I'm working with. So if I'm working like here, I'm actually going to go to the kitchen. So if I don't want a puppy, if I'm working with the client and they don't want the dog in the kitchen. So if you've got like a family with 3 kids, there's a lot of people in the kitchen, then you're going to want to say there's no kitchen for this puppy. So using a small leash and getting the dog to go on the bed there and staying where all good things happen. So you go away, you come back, you can reinforce this. So this is preventing counter surfing. This is preventing lunging and barking when you're making their meal. It's putting them somewhere, reinforcing it, going away, coming back, paying them back, going away, coming back, paying them from their laying down. Now, if you walk away and your dog gets up and follows, you've gone too far. So this is a skill, this is a drill that you would do. But just knowing that these are things that if you set yourself up to understand ahead of time, then this is something that you're going to build in your own skill set. And then there's a last video up here. It's just the training process. We teach a lot of go to spot, go to your mat, and this one is a settle. So she stays in the default position. She stays on a blanket anytime she sees it because a lot of good things happen. So it's basically a magnet that attracts the puppy because it's a lot of things that are coming back to her that are reinforcing. So for this dog at 10 weeks old, I can go completely out of sight and come back. I can also keep her on the blanket and throw tennis balls in the air and she will stay there. That's the level of distractions that this puppy got up to by 10 weeks. Anything you want to add to that, Julie?
No, I mean, I see it in all of my clients. I actually have several 1 or 2 year old clients that from the start, we started this day one, and now they're calling me and telling me, oh my God, this is a lifesaver. I cannot believe my dog learned this so fast. Because when it's reinforced and you're doing it, I mean, it's as simple as them walking onto the bed and you just tossing a piece of kibble And now they can go anywhere and do this. In a restaurant, they can do it at their kids' school, they can go to sporting events. Not that we have those right now, but having that place available and letting them know, you know, this is where I would like you to hang out. They pick it up really, really quickly. So make that a priority, especially for those of you who want to travel or have kids. Having that spot
station work,
chill out is invaluable.
Station work is going to be important for anyone that travels, but also if you've got 2 dogs, you're going to be working with this new puppy and your other dog is going to be like, what about me? So settle. So you see there's another puppy. That's JD. She's a little Aussie doodle in the back. She is on her bed. She's got something to do and I'm working with this puppy. So in our school program, we have about 40 dogs a day. Those dogs that are skilled at settle or go to their spot, they hang out there and wait their turn. They don't have to be put away in a crate. Okay, so this is a list of your socialization checklist. I'm sending this to you once we're done. It's one of the gifts we have for you. I don't think this is, you can edit it, but you can reprint it as much as you want. Oh, you know what I did? I actually did put an editable one if you want to add things based on where you live. You could take things away. So here we have fireworks, and fireworks are like almost every night. So in order for our dogs to be exposed to fireworks and for them to go, oh, no big deal, we have to start that really early. So, and we'll talk about those stages in a little bit. So you want to have a list of what's relevant to your life. So if you are just looking for a dog that's okay at home, what does your house look like? Do you have screaming children? Do you have a 6-month-old? You know, does your wife, you know, throw up the pots and pans when she's upset? Like, you've got to take all of that and you got to throw it into your checklist. I had one client just recently. She is a hairstylist and owns her salon, and she wants her puppy to go inside with her. So we did a setup there, and all of the exposure sounds were different for her. I mean, I don't blow dry my hair, so I've never even used a blow dryer, but that was like a necessity, was that her puppy needed to make sure she was okay with the blow dryer, and then people with high heels walking by, the perfume, right? The different smells of perfume, because it was just a different life. So airports, if you suitcases, what is travel? What does Brazil look like? I was in Brazil a few years ago. I did a tournament out there, and there was a lot of people. So it's, you know, in flip-flops. So it's completely different. It's like our beach community where everyone's just walking around, and you know, skateboards and bicycles, and just it's a very outdoorsy community. So it's important to understand like what your goal is, and then put that down. And we're going to tell you how to expose them safely. We're going to go into that next. So there's socialization, and then there's exploration. Exposing your dog to something new, it's not enough. You need to have a positive exposure to something new in order for it to get a check mark. So here we have just examples of how we train or how we socialize and expose a dog. So we have on the top video, let's turn this one off. This is a puppy training exposure to construction and fireworks. And you want to desensitize your puppy to the sound of fireworks. They typically don't see the firework, but you can do the sound from day one. You pull out your phone and you check out YouTube. So here we have an iPad. We're working with 2 dogs here. So we've got one in the crate and the other one on a dog bed. We have the volume of the fireworks at a level where the dogs feel comfortable enough to eat and train. So during mealtime, when you give your dog an interactive feeder, throw on some desensitization noise that you want to get your dog exposed to. So fireworks, trash trucks, gunshots, if that's where you live. What else do we have on there, Julie? Airplanes taking off.
Yeah, airplanes taking off. Kids.
Dogs.
laughing, dogs barking, cats meowing, which is sometimes just enough of a trigger. Doorbell sounds, knocking sounds, like, you know, typically all of the dogs in the house go crazy when someone knocks on the door. Well,
yeah,
you can make sure that that association doesn't start from the very beginning by exposing it and just making it, it's just a noise. It's no big deal. It doesn't mean that you need to go crazy.
Okay. So you have 28 days if you get your puppy at 8 weeks. You have from 8 weeks to 12 weeks to expose them to all the different sounds that have to do with your world. Everything is on YouTube, guys. You start off with the volume that your dog can handle. You give them food, you wait 2 minutes, and then you turn that volume up a little bit more. Your goal is to have that noise at a level that is real and your dog's still okay with it. Okay with it means that they're taking food, they're not staring at the screen, their eyes aren't back, their ears aren't back, they're okay with it, totally ignoring it. They like, I don't care what's going on, doesn't bother me. So that is how you do it. How often do you do it? Every single day. Every single day. The more often you do, so if we do it every single meal, so we do it 3 times a day, and it's, you know, 5-6 minutes, because it's the easiest thing to help your dog get used to. So if you live in a city like me, we've got to rush that, right? If you live in a neighborhood that's really quiet, well, then you're probably going to do the barking, you know, barking dogs, because maybe a dog 3 houses down barks. Well, you want to expose them early so it's not such a big deal. Surfaces is another one that you can do immediately. So surfaces that you'll see on your socialization checklist is like grass, wet grass, different types of grass, asphalt, dirt, gravel, sand, tile, paper, carpet, all those things that you can expose your dog to. You can lure them on there by just trickling a few treats. You can also make, what we do in our puppy class is a obstacle course made out of things that are in your kitchen. So a cookie sheet is like a scale that they would get on in at the vet's office. Here we went to the beach, so we just did the little bit of just a small little area where there was sand, just to get the dog used to that surface. You can use kiddie pools. You can use dirt. This is a manhole that's outside my, or whatever it's called. Most puppies are fine with it when they're young, but we have older dogs that we work with that can't even walk over a manhole. As soon as they see a manhole and there's a certain sound that it makes, they bolt, and you're, you know, out in the middle of, you know, of another side of the street just to get around it. So early exposure to things like this that we don't even think of is going to make things a lot easier. Flags, so houses that have those flags, or, oh my gosh, another really scary one is in Halloween and Christmas, when people put those things in the front yard, you're going to want to take your puppy over there and expose them to all those crazy looking things that they just don't know what they are. That's why they're scared. So by introducing them to them while they're early, when they're young and they're like vulnerable and they're willing, right? Oh, I'll go check it out. Yeah, let's go see what it is. In that stage, you're going to get an experimental dog that's looking to take a look at it. If you're patient and you're using a reinforcement, whether it's play. So you'll see here, Julie is on the ground. She is just doing a little play session with the puppy on that stainless steel or metal or whatever it is. Here's an obstacle course we made in the kitchen. This dog we had to teach to go up a ramp. So we went ahead and brought the ramp into the kitchen. We used a disc from like a workout disc. They're like $6 or $7, and to expose them to the feeling of like a moving thing. So if you're going to be taking your dog on a plane, you're going to want them to be moving. A wagon, stroller, things like that, you're going to want to expose your dog to the movement that they're going to feel. Even taking your dog on a car ride is a good good opportunity to expose them to the sounds and things, but that movement, that uncomfortable moving feeling. Any questions? All right.
Everyone's pretty quiet.
Yeah. It's always quiet. I wonder if you're actually like, yeah, new. It's like, it's a lot of information. It is. And so we have it all wrapped up for you in a little book. So you'll feel like, okay, that makes sense. So this is a demonstration on day one. You got to get your dog exposed to the living arrangement, right? So you're going to first, when you bring your puppy home, you're going to take them right to the potty area. You're going to take care of that first, one person at a time, potty area. Then once you've got your setup for where they're going to be living, so if it's a crate, you're going to want to get on the floor. I wouldn't take them through the entire house. I would block everything else off and just focus on one part of the house. So number one spot is where are they going to be sleeping, and their home, their room. That's where you're going to start. Getting down on the floor, using, tracing your hand or a little bit of their food with the crate. If you're using crate training, you're going to put that crate right next to you. So this is us doing a demonstration of exposure to a crate. This is a puppy, June, and she loves the squeaker squirrel. So Julie's playing next to the crate. The crate is not the attention right now, the toy is, but the crate is there. This is what a breeder can do for you. You can ask them, hey, would you mind putting the crate in the room and just throwing some food in there? That's it. It's so simple when they're young. It's when they're older that it gets more challenging because it looks like some crazy, scary object. But I mean, we can go on for 2 hours to talk about how amazing a crate can be for your puppy and all the awesome and wonderful things it can do for you. And if you want to know a little bit more about crate training, let us know. We'll give you a 30-minute call and just kind of talk you through the importance of crate training, how to do it, and things like that. So we can definitely set something up for you if you want to chat for a half hour, and we can go over and help you get your puppy acclimated to a crate. So this is her. She's playing, and then whoops, the toy went into the crate. It's that simple, guys. Just accidentally tossed it in. They're not making a big deal out of it. And if it's not in the crate, maybe you toss the toy next to the crate. Just the same. She's using a leash and harness here. So if you notice that, she's using that because we want to keep the dog in a certain area. But if your dog has an X pen and a crate, you would just sit in the X pen with them and do something like this. And here's Miss Darla. She's a Boston Terrier. And I think this video represents just holding, or are we doing the bicycle here?
This was just exposure to outside. I think it was one of the first few times she'd been out and she was meeting new people. So we were just talking about holding when you're outside and going really slow. I'm a Boston Terrier fanatic, so this was my snuggle moment with her.
She's only 7 weeks, so she was let go from the breeder a little, for us, it's too early in California. I don't know, some states are different, but this is Adam, the parent, exposing her to a new person. So he just met Julie, and he handed the puppy off to Julie. Julie's holding with 2 hands and keeping the dog in a little bit tight, but it's one person at a time. You don't want to have 5 people in your family with the puppy looking and seeing all of that. It's usually one person at a time. Spend 5 minutes bonding, and then you can hand over. Be very patient. You might need to use food. Most dogs that are stressed out, not because they're next to a human. Most of the time it's because they're being picked up and they're probably not used to that.
And making sure that when you do pick them up, I see people like holding a baby dog like a football all the time, or they're just like you would a baby. You want to use both hands. They're just as soft and squishy as a brand new baby. So you're going to have to secure them with both hands, holding their rear and their neck or their top area, because they're still very squirmy. And Yo has a brand new grandson, and he's 2 months old, and he's still very wiggly, still trying to get that muscle development, and so will your puppies at that age.
We did have a client who was holding her dog with one hand, and she was on the phone, which I do not recommend. and her dog moved and jumped out of her arms and broke both, I think it was the shoulders, right, Remy?
Yeah, and it was I think a $10,000 vet bill, and months of this dog not being able to walk or run because she couldn't, her arms were in casts. So, you know, all it takes is one slip, and especially puppies, because they're just so squirmy. If they slip right out of your arms or out of someone's lap, especially kids,
it's
going to be a big trauma for them later on.
So here's our body language chart. In your book, we're going to have some of this information, but it's important to learn, dive in deeper to learn more about body language, not only for your dog, but for any dog that you might come in contact with. A happy dog or a dog that's socially okay would be a little more loosey-goosey, right? You'll see a play bow, you'll see things just kind of more smooth, the tail moves and wags like this. That's more appropriate. If you have an adult dog and you're getting a puppy, you're going to want to keep those dogs separated until they're more appropriate with each other. And that might be 15 minutes or it might be several weeks. The reason is you don't want a puppy to come full head on, you know, charging another dog when the dog is still wanting some space. So you're looking for, your goal is that your dog moves very smoothly and with not a lot of like flexing of the muscles. So play bows, just nice, easy, be easy to disengage. They'll look at the dog and then they'll disengage. You know that your dog is okay. Stress is something that you're going to want to learn, maybe picking one type of stress signal at a time and figuring out, oh, I see that with some dogs that are in your neighborhood. A lick, a lip lick, did I say it right?
Yeah, that one's a hard one. There's a tongue twister for you today. Lip lick.
Lip lick, yawn, wait forward, like they see another person or a dog, or if the kids walk in and the dog turns around and starts scratching. Those are all signs that your dog is a little stressed out. Those are all signs that you want to take note of. Okay, there's something that's going on that my dog's not completely comfortable with. Let's address that. I just got video yesterday of another 8-year-old that was bit by the puppy, and she's sitting down on the floor. She was playing some tug, and she went to take the toy out of the dog's mouth, and she just went head on. She just went like took it, and they've been battling this before. The point is that she did something that the dog didn't like, and the dog growled while the toy was in her mouth. So the dog was growling, looking at her. She's staring at the dog, and then she reaches over to grab, and then the dog bit her, and then she went back like this. It was so quick. So I want you to think about what that dog learned. 8-year-old brings her hand towards the puppy's mouth with something in it. The puppy is growling. She's like 11-week-old puppy. She's growling. Daughter ignores the growl and goes for it anyways. The dog lets go and bites her, and look what she does. So what did the puppy learn? Biting works. At 11 weeks old yesterday, a puppy learned that the bite is what she needed to do in order to get some space, because the 8-year-old ignored the growl. So it's important to learn that body language when your dog is stressed out, because had she saw in the video that I saw, the puppy was giving her every sign that she didn't want her near her. She was trying to get away from her and she couldn't. So in this little video, on the bottom, you see some bullet points of other stress signals, and that's what you're going to see in your ebook that we're giving you. It's got some of the stress signals to look for. If your dog is on the ground, pacing, running, spinning around, those are all signs of stress. Pulling their ears back on the side of their head, or even we call airplane ears, sign of stress. Tail tucking, lip licking, freezing, shaking, refusing to take food. No dog is going to refuse to take food. If they normally take food and all of a sudden they don't, your dog is stressed out. Or if you're being approached by a child or someone or another dog and your dog goes behind you, that's stress. Don't push that. Don't say, oh yeah, come on over. My dog's fine. Don't worry about him. That's not what you do. If you listen to those stress signs and you listen to your dog will respect you and you guys will have a really good communication. But if you fail to listen to your dog will escalate on how they communicate. So dogs that bark, not all, but some dogs that bark, it's because their first signal of communication was ignored. So here's Miss Darla. If you saw here, I'm going to do this in slow motion. Watch this. He has two hands on her, and then he wants to expose her to this bicyclist going by. So he switches to one hand here. There's the little shuffle, one hand there. And he's got food ready in his right hand. And then he goes, okay, let's give her some food while the cyclist comes by. This is how you do it, by the way. She said, no, absolutely not. Look at her face. Look at all the muscles in her face. Her ears are down. Oops. So this is a sign of stress, guys. This is stress. This is what it looks like. All right. So just to sum it up or to help you understand, stress looks different for every single dog, and it's just relevant to whatever it is you're exposing the dog to. In this particular video, we don't know if it was a cyclist or the fact that Adam was holding her up in a way that made her feel uncomfortable. We don't know, but we know that she does feel stressed out. That's all that we know. Any questions on that? Body language and how important it is? Okay. All right, Julie, I'll let you go into management.
So management is the fastest, easiest, cheapest way to prevent 99% of dog behavior problems. Everything from a bite to, oh wow, we lost a couple of people. Everything from a bite all the way down to simple potty accidents, or when your dog is nipping at you, which happens to every single puppy parent. Don't think that you're the only one. We use crates, X-pins, tethering, baby gates, curtains, picking the dog up. We use these to manage and prevent the unwanted behavior before we can train the more desired behavior. So in the case of a potty accident, we would manage first to make sure that our dog didn't have unlimited access to our house so they can pee in the corner without us seeing. We'll manage them to make sure that they're supervised so that we know the moment that they start making those sniffy circles, or, you hit that 15-minute mark, you're right there to get them outside so that you can guarantee success from the beginning. So management is if someone said, I'll give you $100 to stop this problem right now. And that's when you're going to go, okay, well, I guess first I'd put him on a leash. Or maybe if we had him in the crate, he wouldn't have gotten access to our shoes, right? And then we can work from that point of success to training a different behavior, like leaving my things alone, like getting a toy when you want to play. But if you're I talked to parents last night, they have 6-month-old Aussies, and their dog's running roughshod over them. I mean, they've taken over the whole house. They've chewed up the couch. They're digging in the backyard. And I said, aren't these your dogs? Like, don't you own this house? He said, yeah. I said, well, then let's put up, don't give them 100% access. If they are not earning it, if they're not behaving in a way that you find polite or well-mannered, then let's start to manage that access, because freedom is earned through success. It's not a dominance or a resource thing. It's just, we're going to make sure that they succeed at every step that we give them to really solidify that foundation. And then you can take that and do amazing advanced behavior chains and service dog work. but it all starts with management.
So here are some examples of how we use management with multiple dogs, so multiple households, and children. We typically, for our clients, our private clients that we're working with, we'll go through a week by week of how to use management to make sure that a child isn't bit by a puppy, and how they can bond through management and eventually remove management. So management tools like an X-Pen crate, muzzles, leashes, curtains closing are all temporary until the dog has a more appropriate behavior. Independence training. So training your dog to be okay with going in a crate and being left alone is going to be one of the very first steps you do. First day, first 24 hours, you're gonna want your dog to be okay with that. Now, if you need help with helping, like getting your dog exposed to a crate, if you're gonna be using a crate and you want some more help than what we have here, feel free to let us know. Again, we'll give you a call and just kind of set you up successfully in your particular home and with your dog. But here's a short video
Hi,
on.
my name is Dara from Canine Learning Academy.
This is the Aussie Doodle. So this is little Mia when she was a puppy.
Canine Learning Academy. This is Mia. Hi, Mia. She is a 9-week-old mini Aussie Doodle, and we're going to show you how to make the crate an amazing place to be. The key to crate training your puppies is to make the crate the most wonderful place to be. You can do that by creating a positive experience. Give your puppy yummy things to chew on while in the crate, enriching feeders, and even your puppy's meals. Ensure that you give lots of praise when in the crate, and never put your puppy in for punishment. Leave the crate door open in the beginning so your puppy can go in and out as it pleases without feeling trapped. Once your puppy is comfortable with the crate, reward whenever it goes inside. You can start by closing the door for about 10 to 20 seconds and gradually increase the time. Check out our YouTube channel for more videos on how to make the crate an amazing place to be.
All right, so keeping the door open, starting with sitting down next to the crate and getting some good exposure, some positive exposure, and then leaving the dog inside the crate, giving them something to do, right? Not just leaving them alone without anything to do is going to be important. Teaching the very basics and training. Management is the fastest way to teach everything. Just not letting your dog have access to something and then giving them what they are allowed to have is the easiest way to train a dog. But for those of you that want to move on besides just management, play, capturing, shaping, and luring are the different methods that you can use to teach the basic behaviors. You want to start with teaching your dog to follow you, because you want them to think you're the most amazing person in the world. You want to, first couple minutes, you're teaching your dog to take food from you. That might be very new to a puppy. Some breeders never hand feed the dog, so they don't understand what this means. And the hand to the mouth of a puppy is actually really scary. And we've got several puppies that we get and they can't even feed them. They're like, oh my God, what are you gonna do with that? So it's important. That's step one, is can I feed you from my hand? If not, how about if I put it right next to you? Can you take it right there? And then maybe my hand can go right here. So those are all the very first steps. Follow you, hand feed your dog so they're accepting of your hand. Then we go into what we call nose targeting, is teaching your dog to follow your nose, so you're not always having to put food or toys in your hand to get your dog to go somewhere. Using the management to help with a lot of the other behaviors. And then we talk about capturing, like capturing the potty and putting it on cue. You can also capture things like down. You know that your dog's going to bend their elbows and go down to the floor. That's the behavior that you're going to try to capture. And then you can put the cue, the word that has to do with the behavior. So capturing is a really fast and easy way to teach your dog to go into a behavior on cue. Here is JD. She's a little mini Aussie doodle playing a game of hide and seek. This teaches recall, follow, right? She loves toys versus food. So we're doing a 2-toy exchange. You toss the toy and then you go hide. And you say the dog's name. You reward them with a second toy. You toss the toy so you can get a little bit of room. And you go hide somewhere else. This teaches you your dog recall, teaches your dog your name, her name, or his name. And it teaches your dog that you are the most amazing person in the world and that you're like the best friend. You're it. So it's great for bonding. There's where she found another toy. Curtis grabs that first toy and runs. So hide and seek in our Puppy Start Right group class, this is day 1. This is something you would teach right from the beginning, not with toys, but with following you, right? Finding you, where are you? It starts off easy where the dog knows where you're at because they can see you, but it's not scary. And then eventually our adult dogs and our older dogs, we play a full game of hide and seek where you're hiding in another room in the closet and they have to come find you. Dog training doesn't have to be serious. It can totally be fun. Here's some of the very basics that puppies will go through in just our program. Want to teach them their name, watch me, sit down. Also, we do a release. How to greet. So when someone walks up and starts talking to you, what is your dog to do? Those are all things you can think about. Oh, I want my dog to sit, right? I'll teach my dog to sit when someone approaches. Nose targeting, go to a place so that if you have to go open the door, you can go to your spot and then go over and open the door. Go in your crate, so in their bed or wherever you have them sleeping. Go play. We put go play on cue because here we don't let any dog that's on leash cannot meet another dog. On leash means you're kind of in working mode. You're with me. Even if they're on leash, but they hear the go play. So if we're using like a tether line and we're letting 2 dogs play, because we don't have open fields out here, we would keep them on leash and we'd say, go play. And now they can go and say hi to another dog. So understanding how that can work would be useful. If you've got 2 dogs in the same home, keeping them separated and then having specific playtime, go in the yard, go play. Now they can go mingle around. The rest of the time, they've got to either stay in their own spot or place. This is just at the beginning so that we know that 2 dogs aren't roughhousing in the house. Because eventually you're going to leave them alone and you've got 2 dogs in the home, probably not managed. A lot of bad things can happen and we can give you a bunch of horror stories. So I would just say, don't do it. Wait till they're completely trained before they're left alone together. Loose leash walking and then come when called. You're going to definitely want to teach that recall and put it on cue. Any questions that we've missed? Do you feel like that covers everything that's got to do with you, your puppy, and what you envision as far as your goal?
You guys can unmute yourself. Yeah.
So I just have a logistical question. So I've heard one, confine the dog to one room for the first few days or first week or so, but then I've also heard that the dog should be attached to you, tethered to you at all times, and when you're watching it, and you'd move about. So which is it? I'm obviously going to have to leave the one room sometimes.
Yeah.
So is it okay for the dog to leave that room if he or she is tethered to me? Or is it kind of tethered when I'm in that room, and if I have to leave, I put the dog in its playpen and I go to the kitchen or the bathroom or whatever?
So to answer that question, I would say both. I would definitely keep your dog in one area at first until they're comfortable with that area. And you've just made that's that place to go to. That's the room, that's everything. So that's a lot of your energy is going to be spent on doing that first 2-3 days. But there should be a period of time that your dog is following you. So if you spend 15 minutes in the afternoon, so in our schedule between 4 and 8 o'clock, we tell our clients to keep your dog awake as much as possible. That's when we tell them to do some umbilical cord training where they're, walking into the kitchen and the other rooms of the house on leash, because you're right there. You're going to be able to reinforce that.
Right.
So I would say The answer would
wait
be
a couple of days maybe before you introduce that.
right.
Okay.
You want to make sure your dog is safe and feeling secure in their area. Once that's happened, then they can explore with your guidance, right? On leash next to you, they can explore other areas of the house so that they go, oh, what is that big brown thing? Oh, okay, it's a couch. And then they go, okay, that's not scary anymore. But yeah, the first, however long that is, because every dog's different. Some dogs come out the gate swinging, you know, they're like, ooh, I'm not afraid of anything. Well, that dog's going to be exposed a lot faster to the rest of the house. Leashed, guys, not off leash. So leash to you with guidance.
And then relatedly with moving, so like I said, I'm going to be moving to Brazil. The dog will be about, I think, 7 months. I'll be in Brazil for 2 years. I'll get sent to another country. I'll get 2 years there, etc. Is each new home you live in, are you starting from scratch and you should just identify like this is your room, get comfortable there,
Yes.
Heather, even when the dog's like 2, 4, 6 years old?
You're going to want to, I would crate train that dog.
Yeah, that's
so completely. And do the crate where you completely cover it all the time. So when we do crate training for people that travel, I had a client go to Germany. So it was a 16-hour flight. So we did crate covered for months, you know, and then I think by month number 5, we put the crate in a moving wagon and started doing all of that stuff. And then we did long frozen interactive feeders in the crate so the dog had something to do for, you know, a long period of time. So there's a lot of steps involved. So the crate could be where your dog goes, oh, there's home. I don't care like where it is. And between now and 7 months from now, you can go visit, like go in a hotel, go to a friend's house, see if you can bring your dog so that you're constantly packing up and putting in another, you know, being in another place. Your dog always stays leashed to you at the beginning. Like we go to hotels quite a bit. We went to Vegas and did Super Zoo and had a bunch of dogs with us. They're leashed. They go in their room. And then once we lay out their settle mat or their crate, they go, oh, okay, I know where I'm at now. Right. So
yeah, I had 4 moves within a year of my dog's, the first year of her life. I had 4 separate moves. And she does just fine. But because I made her crate like a priority, especially in the first year, now she's fine. She's house trained. She can sleep on the bed. But the crate was like really helped with the anxiety of moving because her consistency, her bedroom was always with us. So even when I had to travel for, you know, to go to a training school and be in a hotel or something else like that, her crate was her safe space no matter where it was.
And taking a step further after the, you know, at the crate is because of the training, the bladder and things like that, and making sure your dog doesn't get into things they're not supposed to because it's fully contained, but also just a really good settle, like on the air, in the airplane, if your dog is going to be in the cabin with you, having a settle mat, meaning this is your spot, and taking that, if you're on a train, this is your spot. When you're at a friend's house, this is your spot. It's portable. It's like the size of a yoga mat, right? You can roll it up and stick it in a bag. Makes it a lot more convenient. So I would do both.
Okay. Yeah, unfortunately for international flights, the dogs have to fly cargo. Like they don't allow anything else. It's the law.
I thought they had to be a year old.
So I'm a little stressed about that, but by December, hopefully everything will be back to normal.
Well, we can definitely help you along the way, you know, going through. My cousin just is picking up her puppy, like as we speak today. She's in Panama and her goal is to come out here with her puppy. So she's going through all of those, you know, all of that, but the flight isn't quite as long as going to Brazil. I think Brazil's flight that's a long one, right?
It is. We'll go through Miami. So I think it's like 4 hours to Miami and then a second flight, which is probably like 10-ish or so.
If you can get out in Miami and
I would also look up the quarantine requirements for animals. Every country.
Yeah. The one upside of working for the State Department is they do facilitate a lot of that stuff. So we've got offices who help with that. I just can't bid any islands. I can't go to like Australia or Jamaica because their quarantine is insane.
Yeah.
What kind of dog are you getting, Jessica?
The mini Aussie Doodle.
Oh, okay, well, if you end up not taking that dog, you can always bring it here. Just kidding. Okay. Here's some of our service so you kind of know what we do. Won't apply to you guys because we do all day school and board and train. So we have a lot of parents that work too much. They need to have a dog that can go everywhere and anywhere, but they don't have the hours and manpower to actually do it. So we provide board and train anywhere from our 20-day program up to 5 or 6 months, depending on what the client actually needs. We do private coaching, and all of it is virtual. We've got a few home clients, but it's all just virtual week by week of what to do. We have online group classes, which is what we're going to show you today. And then we have a self-study course that opens up actually June 1st is when it's supposed to go on. It's a home study course, so you can just sign in anytime and anywhere. So let me go over. Here is yesterday's class. So this is our online group training class. It is completely free. Our Puppies Start Right class is free. It's 2 days a week. Tuesdays is all the human training of what they're going to be doing. And then Thursday, their dogs come to class and they do it right in front of us, and we coach right through the camera. We are so good at giving you instructions that it enables you to actually bond with your dog and execute it right in front of us. We have different classrooms that we can put you in. So here is a live class. I think this was yesterday's class. Let me fast forward it so you can kind of see. So we usually go through some of this. And then when it's the dogs and the humans' turn, they will get going. Let me see. Oh, here they are. I don't think you can. Let me turn up the volume so you can hear.
And we're going to talk to you guys for those 4 minutes. And you already see how kind of tired and out of breath your puppy's.
Good, Karen. You're going to share. Karen Van Dyke, you're going to shake that little rope a little bit more.
Hold still, Michelle. Once you're ready to get them to drop, hold still and then put the treat up. The moment that they take that treat, you're going to remove the toy. There we go. Remove the toy right now and put it behind your back. Perfect. And then we can start again.
So these are puppies 8 to 20 weeks. Some are even younger. I mean, some are 7 weeks. And these are owners.
Treat away.
There's one with skateboards.
You're going to set it a little upright.
Stella, toss the treat on. Just place food on the skateboard. Yep. Try not to move it too much. Nice, Karen. So hold the skateboard so it doesn't move much with one hand. Beautiful. Stella's puppy is on the skateboard.
So that's just a little demo of Thursday's class. Tuesday and Thursday's class are completely free. And we've got a lot of online classes. So this is a way that we can help you. After puppies start right, after they understand and learn how to socialize and expose their dogs to different elements of their life, we've got the Prep School program. Prep School exactly follows our school course for our dogs that we see in person. So they learn loose leash walking all the way through and off leash. They learn recalls all the way through till off leash. They learn foundation behaviors like that, the sit, the down, all the basics, and then all of the targeting. So go to your mat, chin target, nose target, all the paw targets. We have tricks class, and then we have a Rowdy Rover class, and then an advanced obedience class, which is our CGC prep class. All those are our live online classes, which are recorded. So if you're registered, you can actually get those classes later. So that's a little bit about what we do. And the last thing that I can show you is we do have a program that goes from the very, very first day you get your puppy. And it's a 12-week program where we meet you for an hour once a week on a private coaching session. And then we do a check-in to make sure that you're kept accountable with the work that we've asked you to do. You have access to our private Facebook page. You have access to all the live online classes, so you can also dive deeper into that. We go through giving you every single behavior that is put on cue in an ebook, so we can check it off and let you know where you're at, and you can kind of keep track. And 24/7 access to us. I can't tell you that that alone has been really helpful for the stressful part of having a puppy. Client that had her daughter got bit yesterday sent me 5 videos, and within an hour I was able to give her specific feedback on those videos. So having a coach along the way really helps. Our 12-week program is $1,800 or 3 payments of $600. And what we're doing now as a bonus, we're giving you an entire year of our online group classes. So you get 12 weeks of coaching from us, and then you get a whole year of all the rest of the programs to advance into however far you want to take your dog. So that's a little bit about us. Any questions about what we do and how we can help? And would anyone like the information on joining the Puppy Start Right class? That class is completely free. It gives you an opportunity to meet us, get coached by us, and get to meet a community of other like-minded parents that are, some are brand new, learning this from the very, very beginning, to people that have maybe, like we have one client that has 7 kids, Julie.
Yeah, 7 kids and a 7-week-old puppy. Well, I guess she's probably 8 weeks old by now. But to me, being in quarantine, that would be absolute chaos, having 7 children and 1 puppy. But she's a teacher, and she has gone through, and we work together to make a schedule. She literally has it written and color-coded when each one of her kids is allowed to interact with the puppy. And when it's that person's turn, no one else is in the room, and they've set up safety protocols, and they attend classes for feet. I mean, she is a superwoman. So putting in that structure is super easy from day one, but the older they get, trying to work backwards is so hard. So I know they're adorable and cute, and we want to spoil the crap out of them by picking them up and carrying them everywhere and, solving puzzles for them. But when they're that age, we really have to encourage that resilience and that exploration on their own, so that they don't end up scared, like we see a lot with little dogs, scared to try anything because their parents always do it for them. And it's easy to do that because you want them to succeed, but just like doing a kid's homework, they're not really learning or developing. They end up stunted. So knowing how to physically and mentally and training enrichment into your life from day one is that you're doing this all before you even have your puppy makes us so excited. That's our favorite client, is that does the research and actually looks into this stuff before the puppy's even home. So.
Laura, Emily, is it Laura and Emily?
Emily is Laura's sister, and Emily and her husband had to go.
Oh, okay. Jessica, Laura, do you have any questions?
I think that's all the big ones. I'm sure once my puppy gets here, I'll have 5 million, but he's hypothetical right now.
Yeah.
And perfectly behaved, clearly, in my head.
I was just like you. I did 2 years before I actually got my dog. I put a deposit down on the breeder and wrote everything out. I was a personal trainer, and so I'm systematic. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. And to be honest, because I had a plan, worked out beautiful. My dog's amazing. Is a reason why I got into dog training. All it takes is putting together a plan and having the time to implement it. And that
I thought about it. I thought about it for 2 years. I was in Tel Aviv, Israel for the past 2 years, and it's such an awesome city for dogs. Weirdly, generally Judaism is not, but Tel Aviv has the cutest dogs, and the city's dog obsessed, and there's beaches, and it's amazing. But my job was just super inflexible. I was I'm gone 12 hours a day. What am I going to do? Mm-hmm. And I'm currently quarantined at home in Pittsburgh, learning Portuguese through the computer. Yeah. And I was I will never in my career have this amount of at-home flexibility. So
you're going to do it now while you're home because you have the availability. That's great. That's
Yeah, and plus, everybody here speaks English, so I don't have to try and do it in Portuguese or Hebrew. So
Yeah.
compelling.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, I'm glad that you're here today. After this webinar, we will give you an email that has a link to the Puppy Start Right if you'd like to join, and just kind of, we've got clients on there that don't have their dog yet. There's like the one from Panama has been on there for 4 weeks, but there's a lot of people on there that don't have their dogs that watch, so they can really envision what exactly it's like. So I'll definitely give you the link to that and show you, a little bit about the rest of our schedule. And we'll send you over that ebook that we talked about that's got this puppy socialization list and the stress signals, and the PDF that you can change if you'd like the template as far as the schedule goes. Is it just you, Jessica, or do you live with the family?
Right now I'm with my parents, which is their choice, not mine. But I have being a good adult daughter who's otherwise abroad and absentee all the time. They are less than enthusiastic about the dog situation, but they will tolerate it. But otherwise I live alone. I was supposed to be in DC and I would have been alone. In Brazil, I will be alone as well.
Yeah, all right. Well, let us know what we can do to help other than what we're doing now and sending you in your email. Be happy to.
This has been really helpful, really good.
Perfect, good. All right, if there's any, we'll stay on here as long as you have questions. If not, we will end our day and start our weekend. Right, Julie?
Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, thank you. You too.
Oh no, I've got another lesson after this, and then our conference that's going on right now. We have.
Oh my God, I totally forgot about the conference.
Yeah, I looked up the schedule a couple of hours ago, and one of them is resource guarding tonight. So you better believe I'm going to be front and center for that one.
It's all recorded though, right?
Yeah, it's all recorded. It's just, I paid for the live access. I might as well show up.
Yeah. Can you send me the link to all that stuff?
It should be in your email, but I'll send you my email. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right.
Every night they email you the night before the links to all of the.
I haven't gotten anything, but I haven't looked. All right, well, we'll go ahead and end. I don't see any more questions. Do you have any more questions? See any more questions?
No, they said thank you.
All right. See you in a little bit.
Bye.